Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Today another scenario from the Pacific campaign. The entire playlist linked down below. Scenario by Louden and Doney. It's pretty straightforward. The flagship, the Super Battleship Shinano, has been ordered home for repair and refit. Before you make it to port, however, your crews spot smoke on the horizon. We are building a Japanese super battleship, and the super battleship is going to be encountering a small-ish American task force of a battleship, a heavy cruiser, a bunch of destroyers, and of course some light cruisers. So, building a super heavy battleship with the AI can go either way. It's going to require potentially a re-roll of the battle so that I have a worthy American opponent. Because I can be building a 110,000 ton super battleship, for example, and they build something that's 60,000 tons. It's not going to make for a good battle. So there might be a few rerolls here and there. Alright. There's really only one requirement for this particular build, and that is for the range to be set to medium. As a bit of historical context, Louden writes, the Shinano was planned as the third Yamato-class battleship, but it was instead converted to an aircraft carrier. This conversion was almost complete, but she was sunk by the USS Archerfish, SS-311, while transferring to Kure Naval Base. So, considering that this is a Yamato-ish design, I'm going to go with something in the range of 72,000 tons. This is the Shinano. Since it was a battleship of the Yamato class, I'm going to more or less design something in that spirit. Emphasis on something in that spirit, because building something that is strictly historical just doesn't work very well in this game. Unfortunately, because I would love it if it did, but no joy. It's just not that feasible. So, the battleship shall have, probably just a Pagoda Tower 1. The modern tower doesn't really have that great long-range accuracy bonus, plus 52 versus plus 62. So the Super Pagoda Tower is definitely the better option there. And then you got a few options when it comes to secondary towers. These one have plus 11, these have plus 9, and then for some reason you have all these fairly small ones, but the modern tower 5 does also allow me to put a bunch of secondaries on there. Let's throw on a large, no, not a large, a medium super funnel. And make sure that the ship has a fairly healthy torpedo blister. We're going to go with the, I think, huge superimposed barbettes, so that I can fit the 18 inchers. Triple, triple, triple. Seriously, by Ultimate Admiral Dreadnought standards, this is a pretty small ship. It's weird, because normally you go with 62,000 tons and you go, is that it? But this time around, that is a pretty sizable, or a pretty small warship. Anyway, heavy shells. Let's go for increased ammunition, because I have a tendency to run a little low. Barbette armor. Let's go with standard. I have a pretty high front weight offset. I don't know if there's too much that I can do about that, except for pushing the stern turret back. I'm going to try and keep stuff a little bit closer to the superstructure to ensure that the stability of the ship is going to be as good as possible. When it comes to smoke interference, let's see what we're looking at. Engine efficiency is good. Smoke interference minus 41.5. I don't think that there's too much that I can do about that. Yeah, this doesn't interfere with that too much. I could go with the full oil burners to ensure that I have a bit more engine efficiency, up to 97.8. Some torpedo reduction is already provided by Anti-Torp 3. What's my turning circle? Can I dodge? 843. Let's go with the best sonar. And then place a bunch of secondaries. Oh, right. She had 6 inchers, right? Overlooking her main guns. I think we're going to need the tall barbette for small guns. Oh, it's a big barbette. Okay, move up. Move up. Tall barbette. Secondary guns. 6-inch triple. There. Yep, that's the one. And then I can do the same thing on the stern. There. There we go. 4 weight offset, 11%. Yikes. Let's just shift the whole superstructure back to ensure that I have a bit more space, or a bit more balance when it comes to the whole ship. Fine. Normally these things are attached. Like you move the main tower and the secondary tower moves with it, but for some reason this time around, not so much. Alright, pull that back, pull that back. And then push this one to here, bring that tall barbette over there. Doesn't fit, that one goes there, this one goes here. 6-inch secondary, there we go. Aft weight offset is now 2.7. That's something I can pretty easily fix by just pushing the main turret forward. There we go. Funnel, medium. There we are. We're starting to get somewhere. Now then, secondary guns. I believe I can house the 4-inchers over there. The 5s are a bit too large. No, the 5-inchers do fit. 6s are too big for those little terraces, if you will. So I suppose let's go with 5s. And I know that this is where I'm going to start to drift away from the more historic Yamato build. But the 5-inchers can be instrumental in taking down destroyers that come too close. And let's put a bunch of 3s. Can have those here, here. What? No. Game doesn't like it when you put them over there if you have the main tower that close. Fair. Couple on the main pagoda tower. These are only 2-inchers, firing mostly forward and to the side. One of these turrets is not happy here. So we got pretty decent coverage towards the bows and starboard side. The stern is somewhat light. That's a little better, but these are only last-ditch resort, or last-ditch options, 6-kilometer range only. Okay, we can house a whole new line of additional turrets over here. He said enthusiastically, and then proceeded not to have these things fit. There. That should keep them at bay fairly well. Okay, that gives me a mere 800 tons to put on some armor, which is not a lot. If I reduce this, well, it's slightly better. And then we're going to boost the deck armor a little more. See if we can get 8-inch out of there. Turrets to 19.5 inches. I have quite a few secondaries. Let's go for 8s. A bit more belt extended to 7.5. Conning tower to preferably 18. 19's fine. And deck extend is going to stick to 3.5. Main deck 8. 3. I think that's about it. There. I'm 1 ton short. After weight offset is 0.5, so let's see if I can shift this thing forward just a notch. I was wondering about that. Okay, 0.1 after weight offset. I'd say that's a pretty healthy, balanced ship. Now, let's throw this thing into the face of the Americans and see if they have a good answer to her. Here we are. And the Americans are here too, at about 25-kilometer range. They're sporting a ship that seems pretty similar to mine. They have 9 18-inch guns, so it's an exact match there. 1 777, another 2 dual 7s, a whole bunch of 4s and some 2s. This is... well, it's not quite an Iowa, but at least ABX turret formation is pretty good. I think this is a worthy contestant. Their heavy cruiser is packing 9-inch guns, 12 of them. Torpedo launchers on the stern mostly. Still, if this thing turns quickly, it could be a deadly threat. Interesting use of single barrel 5-inchers. And a bunch of... holy crap, they got 26 single 2-inchers. All over the place. Interesting. Alright, Shinano already locked on with 100%, sorry, with 100% accuracy. With 6% accuracy. And we are looking at the destroyers. Minimum bulkheads, oh dear. Torpedoes at the 14.7, but with a slight visibility debuff for me. Plus 13%, speed good, turning circle not great, water clearance not great. And sonar 3, coincidence 5, interesting. Generation 1 radar. Alright, DDs. You, unfortunately for you, do not have to survive. So, let's see if we can get a couple of torpedoes lodged into the side of the American battleship. We got the Hatsume, Michizuki, Wakabe, and Shimotsuki. Now, before they wreck the beauty that is the Shinano, let's see if we can get a couple of screenshots of her. For posterity, because she might not survive this encounter. I really hope she does. Because that is the objective. Drive the Americans back. The Shinano must survive. So that's what I intend to do. I still love these close-up shots. Now when I'm looking at the stern turret, I think, you know, I could have moved it back to make sure that it had more clearance to the secondary tower and thereby a greater field of fire. The trade-off, of course, is that when you do that, you don't really get the nice balance that you get from having the ship in a position, or the turrets in a position closer to the superstructure, so the ship is more balanced overall. Nevertheless, I swear that my S key is sometimes not working today. I'm not sure why, but pressing the S key, but only marginally does the camera move back. This is problematic. Now, let's see. Their light cruisers have been detected. These lights are sporting 8 7-inch guns and 9 single 3-inch guns. What's with the singles? I don't think that this is what they meant when they were saying that there are hot singles around, right? Like glowing red hot 3-inch gun barrels and 5-inch gun barrels and 2-inch gun barrels from the heavy cruiser, I think it was. Weird. Alright, enough for that nonsense. Let's see if I can get close enough. That's going to take me a while with the DDs. What I could try and do is attack from 2 different vectors. So I would have the Michizuki detach. Whoa, no, whoops. Sorry about that, don't mind. And the Hatsume to join that one. Please have diesels. Gear turbines too. Because I just wrecked its engine as I was trying to split it and instead hit the reverse button. Okay, you guys are going to go there at lower speed. You guys are going to go here at best speed, normal formation, or normal speed. Considering my accuracy and my somewhat lack of armor, I don't really want to get too close. Especially deck armor is tough. Tough to get right. Considering the range, 22 Glucks, let's say they have the same shells. They can plunge through 20 inches of deck armor. And I have 8. And I have even less when it comes to the extended deck armor. So that could be a real problem. Oh. Are they once again going after the destroyers? It appears that they are. Oh, their destroyers have also been lit up. What you got there? We have a dual barrel 5-inch. Sorry, 4-inch. Torpedo launchers amidships. It's not quite a Fletcher, but it's pretty close when it comes to those. Oh, actually, no, never mind. The Fletchers had 5s, not 4s. Anyway, first blood to my battleship. The Shinano has hit the American warship, which seems to have inflicted some damage to the bows. The ship is on fire, and they rapidly put that out. So, probably decent bulkheads. Range is 17 clicks from one group, 20 clicks from the other group. And yes, they are definitely trying to hit the destroyer group here. That's fine. Means that the Shinano has a bit more time to try and engage the target. Maintain pressure on the enemy battleship. 10% chance to hit. Come on, buddy. Get some of those 18-inchers to plunge right through that American deck armor. Time for a close-up shot as the Shinano is preparing to fire. Bow turrets are loading, which takes a little under 60 seconds for these guns. Fire. Full salvo. 9 18-inch projectiles on the way. Range to the DDs is 15 clicks. Range to the heavy cruiser... No, that's a light. Where's your heavy? That's your heavy. 16 clicks, 17 clicks. Okay. And everything is currently missing. Lovely. Now, I was trying to torpedo the American battleship, but it seems like their escorts are going to completely ruin that plan. Because the American battleship... Yeah. I'm concerned about my torps from this side. They will get detected by the ships over there and then promptly negate it. Not great. Ooh, big hit. 250 as the shell plunges through the bow belt armor and starts flooding. "13 clicks. 15 clicks. I would like to have these guys at 2 different angles, but closer. Good lord, are you flooding that badly? I thought you had some pretty decent bulkheads. There's another flooding hit from the 18-incher. Identity or identification is only 87%, so I cannot quite tell you guys yet what sort of bulkheads they have, but it's not looking good for the Americans. We're going to try and torpedo... There's another flooding. Engage the American battleship, although... Actually, by the time that those torpedoes arrive, there will not be an American battleship. What the hell? Yeah, right. The New York, at 55,000 tons, she wasn't fast. She had 18-inch guns, firing high TNT shells. Light shells, though. Great citadel armor. Good barbette armor. Excellent anti-torpedo protection. Generation 1 radar, sonar 3. Advanced radio direction finding, and stereoscopic 4 rangefinder. But her minimum bulkheads cost her this battle. So that means that the Shinano, having expended really very few shells and not taken any hits, is now free to clean up the American battle group. Oh dear. And of course, just now, the torpedoes are on the way. Oh well. Let's see if I can keep all my ships alive. It's probably not going to be easy when it comes to the Shimatsuki, considering her vast damage that she's taken. But if her engines come back online, she should be able to fix the flooding. And she might just live. And now let's see if I can keep the Shinano somewhat at range from the enemy. We got the 5-inch guns going off, port side. Look at that. Look at that and tell me that's not pretty. All these guns looking at the light cruiser. Including the 18-inchers. One good hit of that, no more light cruiser problem. The Columbia, interestingly, seems like a very heavy gunboat build for a light cruiser, because she does have torpedo tubes, but only 2. 1 port, 1 starboard. Shimatsuki might just be able to survive here. But just to be on the safe side, I am going to pull her back. I really thought that the American battleship would put up more of a fight. But the New York just got hit a couple times. 4 hits. That was all that it took. 4 hits from the Shinano. And the American just sank. Because it could not survive the floodings. Well, that's what you get if you don't build your battleship properly. And this is why I almost always go with a heavy, or with maximum, what you call it? Maximum bulkheads. Oof. Look at that. That was a direct hit of the 18-inch guns on the Columbia. And it doesn't quite look like it on the model, but the schematic tells me something entirely different. The entire stern is burning. Half the ship is on fire. And, well, with many bulkheads she might survive, but the fire damage is going to be fairly extensive here. Ticking up pretty quick. The Hatsume is not doing good. I'm going to pull my DDs out of this fight, because I'm not expecting them to win this. There is another salvo going out, this time on the Santa Fe. And it misses, fortunately for the Santa Fe. Because considering what happened to her sister ship, that would have been disastrous. Our torpedoes can range out to 9 kilometers, which means I am well within torpedo range. They are 30% detectable. So even if they launch, we should be able to see them. Shinano, making sure that this light cruiser is not going to go anywhere soon. Boom. Headshot. That was 2,700 damage. New target is the San Francisco. At least that's what I think the ship has selected. No. It has selected the already crippled Columbia. And promptly finishes it off. And now we have a couple of shells going out against the Frederick over there, the heavy cruiser. Which has launched a few torpedoes in the direction of my destroyers. I'm not sure which DD. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to make them turn a little bit. Still got the mains on the Frederick. It's not really what I consider the biggest threat at this point. Even the 3s are opening up against the light cruiser now. Have you guys done anything? No. Torpedo in the water. 2-inch guns haven't fired a single shell. The 6ers have assisted. 126 damage, but it was nothing nearly as damaging as the 18-inch guns. 6,500 points of damage. And counting. The San Francisco really should be trying to get away. Use its speed, use its smokescreen, and turn directly away from the Shinano, because this is not going to end well. Let's put all the secondaries on the DD. Even though it has already fired... Ooh, headshot. Fired its torpedoes at me. That was a 6-inch hit. Mid-belt penetration on the Gonzales. And the Gonzales is not so speedy anymore, because she could do 40 knots. But with this level of damage, that's going to be rough. She's losing speed very quickly. And more importantly, she's losing the rest of her health as well. Torpedo in the water launched by the Glennon. Target the main guns in the Glennon, please. So I have the Shinano turn. I have 3 torpedoes here. Maximum starboard turn. I might be able to squeeze through this gap here. Oh, headshot on the Glennon. Yeah, we'll be fine. Main guns on the Young. Secondaries are working over the Gonzales, and the Young still has her torp, so she... Oh, we need to kill that ship fast. Oh, close shot on the Young. I really thought the American battleship would put up more of a fight. If that thing had had maximum bulkheads, even though it was somewhat lighter, it had more ships to support her. Could have won the battle. Torpedoes in the water, originating from the Young. Maximum port rudder. Gonzalez taking a lot of damage. There is not much left of that ship. She might succumb to flooding. Yeah, she's gone. Boom! Now I am potentially in trouble here. Because the Shinano will take one torpedo hit. But her torpedo blister should mostly negate that. There we go. That was 42 damage. Now, the only ship that I have currently at risk is my destroyer here. And I think she might not survive this. She is within 10 kilometers of that heavy cruiser. Yeah, there she goes. Considering what I was up against and what the AI could have thrown at me, I think that I made it out very luckily with a 55,000 ton battleship. What was that sort of cross-eyed shot? The Shinano has taken 2% structural damage. Some damage to her secondary tower, a few spots on her belt, but mostly very sound when it comes to structural integrity. Full salvo, bow guns only. Ooh. Frederick, what's your status? What's your speed? Because you can do 31 knots, but you're only doing 19 and you're going at the battleship. You're either remarkably brave or remarkably stupid. Probably a bit of both. Because I got an almost perfect chance to pen. If she had torpedo launchers, you could argue that she's making one last torpedo attack before going down, trying to sink the Shinano. With her 24-inch torpedo launchers, that can really hurt. So let's start turning away from her. Stern guns are looking over starboard, so that's good. I had a perfect chance to pen. Well, it's dropping slightly. The 6-inch guns are trying to do damage to this ship, but so far it's only been the 18s that did some damage. Alright, the 6 don't even hit. And the 5s probably don't have the pen to work this ship over. Range, 9 kilometers, so let's say 7.5. Actually 10, more likely. I can pen 3.2 inches of armor, which is nowhere. But the 18s don't have that problem. Slamming through the bow belt, causing several fires in the ship, but all turrets are intact. Ooh, those torpedo launchers. Maybe I should not go broadside. I'm a bit of two minds on this. If I turn to port, I'm making myself a much bigger target when it comes to the torpedoes, but I'm also bringing in 3 more guns. I think I can... Yeah, I can wipe her out before she becomes a threat. This thing is taking remarkable amounts of damage, though. 2,200 damage taken. And she's still taking some very slow ticking damage from the fires. Wait. She just launched her torpedoes. Crap. Hard to starboard. Make yourself unpredictable. Or at least try not to be where the torpedoes are going to go. Are these visible? Maybe the battle will end before the torpedoes arrive. Here are the torps. Yeah, battle ends. So, that was a pretty swift and definite victory to the Shinano. She shouldn't be a problem, or she shouldn't have any further problems getting home. Now, this was the last bonus round of the Pacific campaign. The next scenario will be the finale. We're in the end game now, Louden Doney writes. So, this means that the next battle, we might see the Shinano again, in excellent condition, I might add, and hopefully with some more opposition from the Americans. Because if they had, for example, 2 of those 18-inch battleships, this could have been a completely different kind of battle. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the battle. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, and I shall see you soon for another battle.